Good afternoon. It is now, let's see here, 5:03, and I'll call the Master Plan Committee meeting of Wednesday, April 16th, 2025, to order. First order of business is attendance. We'll do a roll call vote, starting with Meg.
Meg Schlesman here.
Linda Brown.
Carol Gogolinsky. Rebecca LaValle.
Robert Leonardi.
Bob Moran.
Gordon Larrabee.
Barbara Bacon.
Ross Smith.
Dan Mascroft.
Rich Preston. All right, thank you. Do we have anyone on Zoom? No roll call vote. Boo-hoo.
Who is that?
Boo-hoo.
That's her.
That's me.
No, I mean, oh,
That's her.
so we don't have to do a roll call.
Right,
My
right.
hair's a little
That's
lighter
right.
now.
Oh, I see. I
Thus,
thought you said
thus I'm joyous.
Oh, Sam's just joined too.
okay.
Perfect.
Hello.
It's Sam.
I think the meeting ID worked, but the Zoom meeting link didn't work, so it took me a while to get set up.
Oh,
Yeah, we're also missing Bob Benerick. He may show up a little later.
yeah.
Yeah, he popped in
Yeah,
for a second.
he really misses a meeting. If you would be so kind, let's take a look at the minutes for March 19th.
I have a question on the summary of what the students' needs are. There's a line halfway down on Gleason Court to Elementary School, no access to clean energy information.
I can't hear what you're saying at all. Are you
Yep.
correcting something, or?
Just a question on the summary of what students need. There's, in the end line here, lack of M.
There it is.
Yeah.
I saw it online,
Missing M.
and even you didn't pick it up, Rich.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I have
when
good
you
days
had
and
the
bad
date
days.
correction.
It might just be
Thank
the
you.
municipal engagement on the next line.
Yes.
But it's not
Yes,
clear.
they'll get rid of the M. Thank you.
And just a suggestion, we refer to the planning board as a planning board and the select men as men. it seems to be the convention now to refer to them as a select board. Maybe we make that,
Where is it here? Well, it was said at this, I'm writing down what was said at the meeting,
okay.
so it might have been said as selectmen. I don't think I've ever heard them called select board
Yeah, no, I
in person,
hear before a lot of them, and that's generally how they're going with now.
Board of Selectmen.
Officially, it's still Board of Selectmen? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
hasn't changed, but
And there hasn't been a woman elected yet?
there is consideration to do it.
Okay.
I remember when Woonsocket wanted to change the name of manholes to personholes.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, there you go.
Any other thoughts, considerations, amendments, additions, subtractions?
So we'll be continuing to consider what the vision statement, what the final design is going to be. At some point, that'll be a working progress? Or is this, do we have a final on this?
We'll be working on that
That's
today.
today's
Yeah.
focus.
Oh, boy. Yay.
Make a motion, Carol.
Oh, I make a motion to accept the minutes as written, as amended.
Okay,
Yeah.
we have a motion on the table. Do we have a second?
A second?
Second by Dan. Any other further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed say nay. Those abstaining, the ayes have it. So we have, I think, Emily, you have the floor, as always.
Sure. Yeah, I guess we can dive right into the vision statement. Oh, actually, I printed out another thing I just wanted to hand out at the request of the committee. Last meeting, you had asked just for like typed up notes about the summary of the mobile workshop at the high school, so I just typed this up for everyone. So I won't review it again, but just so everyone has like this on paper.
Thank you.
Just pass it around. Yeah, it had some pictures and just summaries of the topics that we talked about, so.
Are they all the same?
Okay.
Got extras.
Yes, we have extra.
Thank you.
All right, so now if we get into vision statement development, another handout, sorry. And yeah, it should be visible. So at the last meeting, we talked a little bit about what a vision statement is. We looked over the vision statement from the, 1998 plan, decided that is way too long. We want to condense it, but maybe pick out a few things that we liked from that plan. So basically, my process was to go back to the survey results, particularly looking at question 17, which asked folks, what would an ideal Douglas 20 years from now look like to you? And so I kind of pulled out, there were like 400 comments or so. So I went through kind of all of them and pulled out these key themes that were just kind of reiterated throughout the responses. So I have listed those there on the first page. And so I thought that would be a really good basis for kind of reflecting what people said they want Douglas to look like, ideally, into like an actual statement of what we're going to like try to aspire to. And then on the second page, I kind of went a little bit deeper and just pulled out specific words that residents use to describe the town. So things like accessible, affordable, walkable, thriving, peaceful. I thought these were really great words that stood out to me, so it would also be great if we could incorporate either these words or, synonyms of them, if there's any stronger ways to kind of, convey this. So just take a look there. And then my idea was to go into, so I drafted up, based on these kind of first 2 pages, some potential phrases that we could include in the vision statement. So I feel like we can just go through either one by one each of these, or just kind of popcorn style, whichever stands out to you. If there's anything you like, any particular phrases, words, themes, if there's anything kind of missing here. And then we can kind of hopefully pull it together into a vision statement. I don't know if anyone brought the materials from the last meeting where I had a few different examples, but I recall that we really liked the Mendon example where it was kind of 3 different paragraphs. And I thought that was a really appropriate kind of amount of writing that a vision statement should have. Not too short, but not pages and pages.
In doing this, it's difficult because some of these words are the complete opposite of other words. How have you before handled that?
Are there any specifically that you're looking at that stand out? Because some might be able to describe the downtown versus some might be using to describe overall the town or the housing of the town or the people. So I guess it kind of depends on the context.
So serene and quiet versus thriving and bustling.
That's a good one.
And it may be appropriate to delineate those through geography.
Exactly. Yeah. Any thoughts on that? I don't have specific.
So I think it's a suggestion.
Yeah, the thriving and bustling probably relates to downtown, and the serene and quiet probably relates to the residential areas around, outside of downtown. I would imagine that's the thought process people were using when they were providing those words.
Or the forest lands and the hiking trails and stuff. Would be the quiet.
Well, there's plenty of that in the state forest, that's for sure.
Try to keep it that way.
I think one of the objectives should be is, I think sometimes this is all good, and this is actually great for ideas. I was thinking you could even do something where you have you show the contrasting ideas. People like this, some people like that, sort of a yin and yang. But ideally you want something that's going to be written. Some of these are so flowery and long that, I don't know, I think sometimes they're overlooked. So maybe if we could do something that would sort of catch them, make it interesting and different.
Find the balance between the two.
Yeah. Yeah, let's see both sides, maybe.
All right. I think that's why I started on the 3rd page, where I start with Douglas is a dynamic town. So we do have a little bit of both going on.
And in the minutes, I do rewatch them on YouTube, and we discussed one way we could do it is, one would be just to use the second paragraph on page 5 from the 98 master plan under goals and policies. And that was titled, what Douglas in the year 2020. I don't have that out right now, but
I can pull it up on the screen, but I don't.
I think we probably spent an hour looking at the vision statement and all of the different types. And after all that discussion, that was what I got out of it. We had narrowed it down.
sorry, which paragraph was that, Linda?
Let's see, use the second paragraph on page 5 from the 98 master plan, under goals and policies, titled Douglas in the year 2020.
Under goals and policies versus
Yeah.
vision?
I think she might be referring to the packet, Emily, so I think,
That we got last one.
This section,
I
right?
do,
yeah, it was different in the packet we gave them, so it's not slide 5.
It says Douglas contains many qualities that distinguish it from other communities. These qualities include our distinct villages, historic structures, open lands, and rural roads. That one.
Yeah.
Which is on the screen now. Okay.
Now I got it.
Okay.
but that would be obviously a different document than visioning, or are we?
Well, and it further goes on to say our new master plan vision statement opening line could be, what makes Douglas Douglas?
Okay.
And then it goes into that.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it was, that was like the one paragraph we talked about keeping out of this entire overwhelming
Yeah.
Yes, I think you're right.
statement.
Jumble.
It was the only thing that was worth salvaging.
I do like what makes Douglas Douglas? We could start with that, like as like a posing the question, and then the vision statement maybe is answering kind of the question.
I like that.
Let's see.
And then it said part of the vision statement or goals chapter could be using the term inexpensive housing or workforce housing instead of affordable housing, which is really makes
It
people
has a
say
lot of
no.
different connotations these
Yeah.
days. Yeah, exactly. So that was like number, let's see, on page 3 here. Oh, number 3, the town strives to maintain or support safe neighborhoods with a healthy supply of diverse housing types or diverse housing opportunities for residents of all ages, abilities, and financial means. So I don't outwardly say affordable housing, but there's diverse housing that's available to anyone, kind of any income bracket or age or background. Any thoughts on that one?
Well, if it means the same thing, I guess it doesn't matter how you say it.
True.
Right?
Do we have actual numbers about how many housings are for,
Quote, affordable.
Affordable.
Yeah.
We-
I don't think we meet the 10%
I don't have it on
at
me
all.
right now, but
Yeah.
that is available.
Oh, I had printed it out.
4.5%,
Yeah.
yeah,
What is it?
4.
4 to 4.5.
Is it average or?
It's what the state recognizes.
It's the
And we're
area
supposed to make-
median income,
Yeah.
right? So I printed that out.
What is it, 80% of the median income?
And in Douglas, it has Douglas. Let's see, 80% income limit for one income is 72,100. That's for Douglas.
And
This
it's
is from-
4% of the housing stock meets the 40B requirement?
I didn't get that. This is just for Worcester County, and it mentions all of the towns and what their income, every town is different.
As far as 40B though, yeah, it is the 4%. And
And that 4%, how they come up with that is like Hayward Landing, even though not all the units are affordable, the fact that it's rented, they get to count all of the units in there towards the affordable. So I don't know, let's say there's 75 units in there. So say 10 of them are affordable, they get to count all 75 because it's rented. So that's, it bring you up to the 4%.
Which is still shy of the 10% required by the state.
Yeah, right.
And we're not penalized, so is it a goal we want to attain?
Not unless you live near the train.
actually, we are penalized because someone can come in and the state can issue, what's the name of that? Comprehensive permit. I think we have a project like that on the Sutton border up on North Street. They were able to get a comprehensive permit because we don't have 10%.
Right. I know where you mean. Compass Point.
North Village?
Yeah, it's right on the border.
North Village,
North
right,
Street.
yeah,
North Brown.
yeah. This is,
Some communities can make that quotient. I know that Hopkinton, I was just looking at the stats, and Hopkinton is like 11, 12%. I don't know how they do it.
It's a high median income.
Yeah, I just don't know how they squeeze it all in, but they do.
well, it depends on whether they got, I've been going by, kind of going over to 495, and sometimes you don't know exactly where you are, but there's a lot of apartment complexes there. So if these are rental units, and they put in a certain amount, and they get to count all of them, then there it goes.
So it's higher density?
It's not so much high, well, it is higher density because of putting the apartment complexes in, but the whole idea is that if they're getting to count every single one of those apartments, even if people are paying $3,000 a month, because they got a few that are subsidized, that's how they get those numbers up. But if they're sold, they don't get to count them all.
How did it get decided how you count the units and count those numbers if they're not qualified for
Who knows?
affordable, low income, whatever?
That's how they,
From the state,
That's-
the state dictates how you qualify
the state tells
those
you.
numbers.
It's a good question. I mean, if we don't know, do you know the criteria for 40B?
Vaguely, but like,
Offhand? Yeah, we should have that. I'll dig that
Yeah, I
up for our next meeting, so
In
we'll know what we're
general,
talking about.
they back into a mortgage or rental payment as a percentage of income. And I don't know what that number is. It might be 35% or something. So that if you're at 80% of the median income of a town and you can qualify for a mortgage that lines up with 35% of your pay, or whatever the numbers are, that's how they back into the formula. But I don't know what the numbers are.
I'm not exactly sure that that's how they do it unless they've changed it, because I can remember when this thing first came up, I was doing a lot of affordable housing, and I was bringing them in through Farmers Home at a 1% loan, okay? So I was bringing in people who were not making much money, but they were able to get these loans, and they did not count those towards the 40B, because they weren't, I don't know why, but they wouldn't. Now, again, we're talking a number of years ago, so maybe they changed the rules, I don't know.
Yeah, it would be good to know the actual criteria.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, if we're,
And this will be part of the discussion for the housing chapter, right, Emily? Like, you can get into some of this after you, like, collect all the information and
That's our
whatnot.
talk for tonight.
yeah, I think actually Mike will be also working on the chapter, or another co-author
yeah.
of ours. But if these are like specific questions, I'll relay that to him to like do the digging and.
I mean, I'm just
So
thinking,
criteria
if we have like an older community and then a lot of people are on social security as a percentage of the town, then that's going to drive down the median income. And so if you want to have affordable housing, that's going to be at 80% of that.
Even harder, yeah.
You're just driving it way, way down. So I don't see a lot of logic in trying to make that as a goal of something we would strive for, you know.
Yeah, the interesting thing about the way they do the subsidized housing inventory too, like, it's the area median income, so
Right.
even if your town has a certain
Right.
median income,
Right.
it's kind of balanced with, I
Yeah.
think Worcester's in the group, Millbury, like all these
Sutton.
towns that have, Sutton, yeah.
The area median income is every
Yeah.
town, we're different than Sutton.
Yep.
We're different than Upper.
So they take the median
But
of
this is for
all
all
of these towns.
Worcester County.
like,
From HUD?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's the formula that HUD does, so
Yeah.
we're kind of stuck with that.
Because when they go into what the amount of people, housing that is affordable, I'll tell you frankly, I have apartments that I rent out, and what I charge people, every one of those would be considered affordable. I've like raised the flag when they move out so I can raise the rent. I just hate that, I know what they're up against, I hate to raise their rent.
I have the criteria here. It's basically what you've been saying, Bob. In Massachusetts, Chapter 40B housing typically qualifies individuals and families whose income is at or below 80% of the area median income.
The area median.
Did we decide what the area is? Is it the town or the?
It's the town, and in Worcester County, and in Douglas, 80% is 80% or lower is $72,100 for one income.
Okay.
two-income, it's 82.4.
So at that income, if they can afford the unit, whether it's a house or an apartment, that's considered low income. It would come under the criteria?
Yes. Well,
Or moderate
Median
income?
income might be higher,
affordable,
though.
Yeah.
affordable housing.
It's almost like I said, it's an oxymoron. What is affordable housing? I don't think it exists anymore.
No.
Where were we?
I don't know. That's okay, because that was on our agenda to talk about housing anyway, so.
I do enjoy those discussions, but we do go off a bit.
So what?
That's
can
the
you,
best part.
Bring up the Mendon, because we had said, well, that's what we want.
I
Right?
liked it.
We did like it.
Mendon had 3 paragraphs. It was broken down,
Mendon?
if you recall, Mendon's, yeah, under the vision.
It said
The first one was a town description, and I wrote in here what makes Douglas Douglas. We're going to put that in there. The second paragraph were the current resources, so description, second paragraph is current resources. I don't know if we can plug those in if we use this. And the third paragraph was future goals,
Which is goals and policies. We don't have to put that in the vision.
right?
No?
Unless you're visioning it down the road. Are we any further along?
Thing there. Why don't we go back to kind of just going through these statements that I drafted up and just seeing, I want to know your thoughts on this, if you like the language, the theme of it. So let's just go one by one, I think. So the first one here, Douglas is a dynamic town that prioritizes a high quality of life for residents. Some of these I couldn't decide what word to use, so I put a slash through them. So either respectful or sustainable land practices and an active business community. So that was just me trying to kind of, in one sentence, like kind of summarize the town, just as a good like opening sentence for it. Anything you like or dislike about this, or is there something, it's not quite grasping what the community is?
Is Douglas dynamic? I mean,
The Facebook page, Dynamic Douglas.
That's right. I would ask the same question.
It's rhetorical.
Subjective.
dynamic to me would be
I think it's dynamic. I don't know.
growing, quick, you know. To me, I'd like peaceful, calm. That's Douglas to me.
Dynamic is almost like a unique. It's kind of what makes
Well, let's use unique. That's a good word.
Douglas Douglas.
Yeah.
Dynamic describes something characterized by energy, movement, or constant change.
Where are you getting that from? Google. Is that town?
No,
No,
that's
that's a
the
definition.
dictionary
Oh,
definition, Dr.
dynamic.
Just Google Douglas.
So it comes up.
That's the definition.
Okay, so maybe dynamic is not the right word.
What do you think, Ross? I think it is. You like it.
I think with dynamic,
Yeah, I like it
I
too.
like it.
like an old Oldsmobile.
Well, let's take a vote.
Dynamic 88.
The Dynamic 88. They stopped making Oldsmobiles, Ross, didn't they?
I know.
Yikes.
That's why I still have them.
When they started calling it, it's not your father's car,
That's right.
that killed them. Anyway, sorry. Well, let's get back.
And all this, to me, is saying it's something we wish we had, not it is now. I mean, like the respectful, sustainable land practices, to me, I don't see it, but I was a conservation agent for 25 years and on the planning board for 10, and I feel like we're back in the 90s now, you know, all of a sudden, things are back the way they used to be. And an active business community as compared to, you know, I don't see us as active as other communities around us.
How about as
As
we
for
were 20
business.
years ago?
Yeah.
No,
How
not
are
20
we on the
years
same
ago.
page about like the timing of which the statement is being said? Like, are we saying this from the future? Is the vision going to be like Douglas is a dynamic town because you're speaking from the future tense, or are you saying like it is right now a dynamic town and that's going to like following this statement because it's a dynamic town, like it will enact these things in the future. And so this is like sort of a pretense to what's happening later. Like we should get on the same page about like where we're saying this from, where this statement is coming from. Is it coming from the future? Is it coming from now?
Well, the word is, Sam, is now. If you want to say
Yeah.
future, then it's Douglas will be a dynamic town.
Correct.
Because it's not
Right,
an
but-
active business community right now, that's for sure.
We're not an active business community, just look at Main Street.
Yeah, all of these
Yeah.
I think were very aspirational, like future looking towards. So, but let's work on, the phrasing of it. So we could say in the year, 2050, Douglas will be all of these things.
Well, if you look at the 98 novel, it says Douglas in the year 2020, and then they go into the thing. So if we did do like Douglas in the year 2050, and then we went into it, that'd be one thing. But if it just says vision statement, it would sound funny saying Douglas is.
Why can't you do the vision statement now and transition to future?
We can do that too, like
Yeah, that works.
saying, like if we're doing the 3-paragraph thing, first say what it is now, and then what it aspires to be.
Time portal.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was coming at it from like the previous master plan. I think it was saying like the Douglas in the year 2020 is, and then it was like a dynamic town. That's what I meant by the is there. But
And that's what the master plan is. We're going now for the next 20 years, so,
yeah.
And this is a vision statement,
right.
what we're envisioning.
We're launching from today.
So do we want to be a dynamic town, or do we want to be a peaceful town?
Well, what's,
And quaint.
that's my question.
Right.
What does dynamic really mean?
Yeah, right, you got a point.
Quiet town.
Yeah, let's stay quiet and
On
rural.
that vote, if we were to vote on that one right
Well-planned.
now.
So,
It's always that yin and yang. Are we a bedroom community? A quiet?
so what if we,
Yeah.
what if we
Community or-
step completely away from either one of those ideas and try to look for something different? Like, look at some of the other words that are used. You've got traditional, cozy, inviting, quaint. Like, there are other words that we could use instead of going with those necessarily that could pull in both maybe ideas, let's go a different type of route maybe.
Like inviting. It's a nice one. I feel very invited when I come here as an outsider. Everyone I've met has been just.
But I'm just saying, maybe like, instead of going for like a pizzazz word, we go with more of a comforting word that then we lead into the other types of words.
I think that's what the survey kind of revealed anyways, is that what makes Douglas Douglas is the fact that it's quiet and nice and quaint
Yeah.
and all those things.
And affordable.
And do we want to keep it
Keep
that way
staying
for the next
affordable.
20 years?
Well, and do we aspire
I mean,
to have a downtown?
But that's what we are
area?
now.
I'm sorry, excuse me?
Sorry. Do we aspire to have an area of Douglas that is dynamic and bustling and has coffee shops or restaurants or whatever, and that, but the more suburban areas are peaceful and quiet in the neighborhoods, and, so to your point, can you bifurcate it between geography of the downtown or the, non-residential area, being some more of those words like dynamic or whatever the words are we want to use, and then the neighborhoods and the housing communities, areas to be more peaceful and whatever those other words were.
And maybe that's where you use the word inviting. It's an inviting town that has a dynamic downtown bustling area, yet we still offer the peaceful, quaint, rural parts of, maybe that's where the inviting comes in, and then you can do that separation.
It's multifaceted.
Yeah, for me, if you were to take, if you're talking about having those two separate, having those two separate aspects, if you look at, in the potential phrases, if you look at like number 4 and number 8, number 4 is, the downtown of Douglas will be, cultural center, and it mentions the different things about pedestrian-friendly environment, elements that unite the community. And then number 8 is, instead of using the word is, you can,
Yeah,
maintain will be. The
Yeah.
town will be a great place to raise a family and uphold, exceptional public schools, provide safe and inclusive learning spaces, and prepare the youth for successful futures. If you can, I think melding those two statements together kind of captures what you guys are saying of, you have to separate the downtown from the rest. And I think those two, number 4 and number 8, kind of capture that, for me at least.
But I don't see how you're going to make downtown a pedestrian-friendly environment when Route 16 runs right up through it. And it's, kind of the way over to 495, so the trailer trucks and everything are on it. So I don't know how you're going to make that pedestrian-friendly. It's not pedestrian-friendly now.
Bob, we need a tunnel.
I'm all for it.
Well, they had talked one time about running Route 16 through the old railroad track.
The
but-
SNET, yeah.
Yeah, and just coming out.
There,
But I don't think that's ever going to happen.
No.
That was bad.
there are like other state routes, I think, that have like, that run through downtowns, that I think there are some good examples of like how traffic calming has made it so that like it's slowed enough to allow like a lot of pedestrian activity without like really ruining like the efficiency of the state road. But yeah, it would be difficult. Like I think you also have to like work with DOT on that, and it's not as straightforward as it would be for a town road.
It's definitely challenging.
I know, and then-
16
Downtown
goes
area.
through,
Yes. Oh, yes.
16 goes through Uxbridge, Milford, Mendon.
But I mean, you've also, if you could, and I know easier said than done, I realize that as I make the statement, but if you can do something with Mechanic Street and Cook Street and B Street and make that a more viable pedestrian area, then you are giving some more pedestrian-friendly areas to downtown.
Right.
And you can also, like, if you have the Riverwalk on Mumford, like, you can have, like, easements, like, sort of leading people from the trail to the businesses in the town center, or in the downtown.
Bingo.
There's ways to do it.
There are ways to do it.
Yeah.
You're losing Main Street, but if you can kind of use the other roads as,
Keep most of the business on the other side of the street, on one side of the street.
so I
The
think,
downtown doesn't necessarily have to be just Route 16, I think is what you're trying to say.
yeah, it doesn't have to be
Right.
just Main Street.
Yeah.
I don't think it can be. I think it can't remain just.
No, like I said, I think you need to almost use the backside of that one backside, and then maybe even going maybe up Depot, up Martin, using Gleason Court, like using the other areas a little bit more. But I think inviting is more how we want to present the town than dynamic as our opening. That's my opinion.
Inviting and affordable. I think we can say that, being surrounded by some towns that are not as affordable as Douglas.
Can anybody
Do
think,
we want to say it? I don't know.
anybody think of any examples of a town, either in-state or out-of-state, that you've been to that sort of meets this criteria as an example? I'm curious. Anything, anywhere.
Affordable goes?
I'm
Or-
sorry?
Or inviting.
What criteria?
No, about the multifaceted downtown type of.
Putnam.
I'm just looking for exemplars, if you
Yeah.
will.
Hudson,
Putnam
maybe?
10 years ago could have used this statement.
Well,
Hudson,
Putnam's
they're
still
there,
pretty
right?
nice. They got a lot of nice restaurants down there
They're
and stuff like
They're
that.
there now where we want to be in 10 years.
Yeah.
And somehow they have a lot of traffic, but I don't find it not user-friendly either. You can cross the streets and,
they have land, though. They have land in the downtown.
yeah.
Yeah. Then, of course, they do have a nice river walk. They
Yeah, but
even
you go
have-
into that antique district and there's no parking. I mean,
There's parking down below, but
but I mean, it's not easy, but we go to have dinner or lunch with my in-laws, and if we don't get there at a certain time, we're driving around looking for
Yeah.
parking sometimes. It's not as bad as ours, but they still have parking issues there too. They have a lot of street parking, a lot of off-road parking, like we would be dealing with.
Yeah, I think we had talked briefly, and Ross, you and I had this discussion about dedicating some land just behind some of the buildings off of Main Street for a parking lot. One of the best examples would be Concord. I know that's really high-end, but they have wonderful parking spaces, just a house or two or a building or two just beyond that, hundreds of spaces, well-designed, within walking distance of
Even if
town.
it were to, if you had a strip of land, say, up from behind the Goodness Store all the way up to Mechanic Street, you can kind of stand behind the library and look and see a line, but not to take property, but take parking off of one side of Main Street and make that, I don't want to say a, how can I describe it? Because we've got a bottleneck on Main Street when there's cars parked on both sides.
Oh, by the Chinese
And
place.
if you limited it to parking on one side, say, just for instance, say the side of Gregory side, and we had that loop where people could park, come down and around and park, and still wide enough to park and walk, and the cars go through, I think it would take a lot of congestion off of Main Street, make it a little safer. You're not poking out between cars on either side. I know it's a vision, but it's
And you
a
say,
possibility.
put it between the buildings and the river,
Correct.
because we were talking about a river walk, and that would work that way, because you could park there, go to the river walk, go downtown, go wherever.
And it's not to be a street, but more to get parking off of Main Street, where you can access the buildings on that side from the backside of the businesses, I guess, you
Yes.
know?
Like they have in Whitensville, they have all parking
Yeah, the
behind.
parking that's behind the buildings, right.
I can never park
Great
on Main
example.
Street in Whitensville.
Whitensville's,
I
I
have
was
to go
going to say,
there.
the lot Unibank put in for, I mean, that's a good example
Oh, yeah.
of putting in a big parking lot for the town, for the Main Street area. Unibank put in that big lot.
You know what the problem that we have is, as much as we love the Riverwalk, you also got that 200 feet buffer zone off of the river, so that takes, there's not a lot
But
you
again,
can
if
do
you
in there.
want it to happen, it can happen. If you want to dance around and say, oh, we can't do this, it's never going to happen.
Well, we're
If you want
saying,
it to
you need to
happen,
find it enough,
it
yeah,
can
but
happen.
maybe you want it to happen, but if DEP doesn't let you.
Well, the river walk would happen, but not the
Yeah.
parking
Right, right.
along the river.
Emily, do you know, are there grants available for small towns or smaller towns to do things like this?
Yeah.
Revitalize their downtown area and reconfigure their streets and...
Definitely. It's probably from a variety of sources. I mean, for reconfiguring streets, probably something from like MassDOT. Also, Sam, please speak to this. You're very good with like grants and funding and stuff, if you know any specific ones.
Well, like, yeah, there's like mass development grants that can work for downtowns. I wouldn't say I'm an expert on grants.
You're better.
But like for like the Riverwalk, you could go through like Mass Trails or something like that. The Main Street's like a Complete Streets grant, potentially. And then I think there was, I'm trying to remember how we funded, I mean, well, DLTA can fund like maybe like a place-making or like wayfinding study that we could do through CMRPC. So yeah, those are some options. I need to like think about it more though.
Sam, is the
Look around at the resources.
CDBG grants available for us? Community
The-
Development Block
The
Grants?
PAG grant?
No, the
CDBG.
Community
CDBG.
Development Block Grants, CDBG.
Oh, yeah, I would have to talk to Andrew about that.
Those are based on.
Because I don't know if the
Those are
downtown here
typically
qualifies.
residential, not municipal. Yeah.
So is a river walk a project that's kind of been talked about in Douglas, or?
It's been talked about here by this committee more than once, I'll tell
If
you.
you've been to San Antonio, you want it.
Say that again?
If you've been to San Antonio Riverwalk, you
Yeah,
want
well,
it.
that's beautiful.
I love that.
There's restaurants right there.
Right, but is it a viable option here? I'm looking at the river, the Mumford River, and where would the trail go? I mean-
The ball field over to,
Right, but aren't we going to be going through a lot of people's properties and things like
Well,
that?
Jackman's owns all that side, all the way down to Cook Street,
Oh, okay.
and you know,
Mechanic to Cook.
and you know what he has told me? He would be interested in something like that because he wanted to make a little area to park, okay? And obviously, in the funeral business, you don't need to park all the time. But he he just got pushback from the Conservation Commission. No, near the river, you can't do it.
Not for the parking. A river walk
Right.
would be fine.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the thing is, why would he give up his
That's
land
right.
if he's not getting anything out of it?
Correct.
And I don't blame him.
Right, and that's okay. Quid pro quo.
It's a give and take.
It seems like
It is a give
a
and
lot of
take, you know?
the Riverwalk land, like, because I think it makes sense to have it on the side of the river that the downtown businesses are on, so you can just like take some easements up to reach them. And it honestly looks like there's only like a handful of properties that are actually right along the river that you would have to cut through to go from like Hayward Landing to Soldiers Field for the Riverwalk. Because a lot of the businesses that are on the main street don't actually extend to the river, and there's like larger parcels behind them that are actually along the river. So there's only like maybe 5 or 6 or 7 of those.
It doesn't have to be right in downtown, because the Mumford River goes all the way to Manchog.
That's true.
And then goes down to Gilboa.
Right, yep.
Well, to get all the benefits
So-
of like a downtown Riverwalk, you want it to be there.
That was the idea, is to get people downtown.
Yeah.
For the reason.
But maybe
Yeah, we were
downtown
talking
is
about-
somewhere else, you know, maybe it's just multiple, I've been to small towns where there are multiple areas that there is, you know,
Distinct little
thriving
villages. Yeah,
businesses
yeah.
and,
Sure.
you know, maybe it's one's a mile away from the other one, but you just kind of spread out the,
Change the zoning, you mean, like,
yeah.
certain areas, yeah.
I like it, that's really ambitious.
Yeah.
But I like it.
Dynamic suggestions.
Going back to
Yes.
the-
I think, I don't know the history of Douglas, if that's the case here. But like, it's like based in like historic village center areas that have already been developed like over the years.
And I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sam.
Well, I mean, I just mean like it, like, did you guys hear that? The last thing I said?
No, go one more time.
Oh, okay. I think a lot of downtown areas don't just like, I haven't seen them really be created in like the last 20 years. It's kind of like places that have already had like that historic presence as like a village since like colonial times. That's usually where downtowns are located. So I think it might be difficult to like kind of reinvent one.
That's the one. That's it.
I'd always envisioned, like the side that Linda's talking about on B Street, Jackman's property. I'd always envisioned like a people walk bridge over the river to kind of connect the
Yeah,
two sides
arch.
also.
Yes.
Arched pedestrian bridge.
Right.
And the town does own some property, Ross, don't they, farther down the river behind the apartments there?
Yes, down towards
Towards
the
north?
treatment plant.
Yeah.
There's a chunk of property in there too that the town does own.
So we own on the other side of North Street.
I'm sorry?
Right across from the mill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, further down, yeah.
but then we,
Even up on North Street end, just beyond Hayward Landing, the next little house that's on that same side, before the sharp turns by the treatment plant, is town property also.
I know about 15 years ago, I worked with the town of Webster, not a river walk, but a river park, right down in downtown Webster.
And they did it.
Yeah, and
they
it came
did it.
out really nice, and, you know, once you built it, they came, and so
Wow.
that might not have as many right-of-way issues as a river walk.
That's
but
kind of
just-
what I pictured on the B Street side, just in my mind as I was
Yeah.
growing up in town and kind of just riding bikes around. That'd be kind of cool, you know?
How long ago did they do that in Webster?
I think we did it about 15, 20 years ago.
Oh.
It was- And I went down there, maybe about a year or so ago, still looks pretty nice, you know?
They've done quite a bit in downtown Webster.
Yeah, it was
They've
just a
really
few-
turned it around.
Just a
agree.
little stone dust walking path with a couple of picnic tables and where you could sit there and look at the river and, so,
Manchog's got a nice little spot, too. And I guess they're looking to make more.
So Emily, when we're writing this up, God bless you, but when you're writing this up, I'm hoping we'll see something about a river walk. We've talked about that a lot. I'm hoping that'll be in there somewhere.
Yeah, I'm trying to decide, probably like the economic development chapter, but also maybe like cultural resources chapter. It's kind of an overlap between different chapters, but we'll make sure that it's in there.
Do we have like a recreation chapter? Like,
Yeah, that would go under, open space and
Open space,
recreation.
yeah.
So yeah, maybe that would be more appropriate.
like 100%?
Yeah.
Because businesses, I mean, they might care about a river
Yeah.
walk, but
Would it be helpful if I brought in plans that we did for the Webster River Walk, just so
Yeah.
that you guys
Sure.
can
Oh, yeah.
visualize?
That's a good
Yep.
success story.
Okay.
I think I'm the writer of the open space chapter.
Oh, well, then you better.
Take a look at the parcel map too, so we can see, who owns what along this
Yeah.
river on both sides, and,
That's what
Try
I've
to figure out
actually
what's
got
feasible.
pulled up right now, and
Yeah.
I'm playing with.
yeah, we need the 3D version with bubbles and we can move around, click on.
Well, so who's the owner of that large, like, B Street parcel, the Gerald Jackman? Do you know what they're doing there?
That's the funeral director.
Okay.
And that piece of property is
Yeah, right.
vacant and absolutely nothing on it.
it's probably only 100 feet from the street down to the river, right? I mean, that's not a very wide
They
parcel.
were visioning
Towards
that
Soldiers
parking lot.
Field, And it gets narrow towards Cook Street.
Yeah.
Well, what Jackman owns, it drops down to the river. There's not much to work with, really,
It's
but a
a
path.
fair amount of area in there. For people, if you're walking around, it's,
Yeah, walking, but not parking, and we'd have to provide that too, parking somewhere, but it wouldn't be there.
it could be still over at Soldiers Field
Oh,
area.
okay.
Even if you had like bubbles at either end, you look almost like a barbell where you had bubbles at either end for parking and you had the walkway the whole way through. You don't necessarily have to have parking the entire way down. If you have, like I said, like a barbell situation where you've got parking hubs, that almost also helps to kind of attract people to want to go, all the
Yeah,
way
one way.
through, something along those
You're
lines.
familiar with the Emerald Necklace in Boston? That was designed by Frederick Law Olmsted, and that's what it is. They tied these big bubbles of land together with just little strips.
Getting back to the idea of behind all the businesses on the Main Street side of the river,
You know,
parking could be there
That little piece.
with a pedestrian bridge over it to access like a park. Margaret would say,
Yeah.
but just doing ideas.
the river, the river area down by Soldiers Field is actually owned by the town. And
Yeah,
there's plenty of
yeah.
parking there. And we got a lot of parking, and they're not playing baseball all the time, didn't need the parking.
Yeah, you got parking at Soldiers Field, you got parking at the businesses on downtown, you got parking at Hayward Landing, potentially.
Yeah, 'cause those are apartments.
Those are apartments, they're not giving up
Right,
lots.
it might even be assigned parking
Yeah.
for that.
But there's like an extension to their parking area further down North Street, right?
They're
I don't think so.
up toward, yeah,
I don't think so.
They have the one big parking lot, and that's it.
Yeah, just noticed that.
There's a sign that says like, this is a smoke-free property, and there's like a towaway zone,
Yep,
but I don't know who that belongs to.
oh, that's Hayward Landing,
That is Hayward
smoke-free.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
that is part of their parking, okay.
Yeah.
And they're protective over their land.
Yeah, well, they don't have a whole lot of
No.
parking, so
No.
they're not gonna give up any.
Okay.
Supposed to disappear. There we go.
Plus, the idea was there was going to be a symbiotic relationship there. You're going to have the Riverwalk, which is going to support the businesses, and the businesses support the Riverwalk. But we were trying to increase foot traffic downtown. That's really important in support of those businesses. All right. Where are we, Emily?
Still on vision statement.
Sentence one paragraph.
I do.
how many tangents?
Okay, so we were on this, I think, like, first paragraph of what the town is now, and we got to invite it. Is there anything else we want to say about the town? It can just be in like kind of one sentence too. I mean, do we want to talk about like the land practices or the environment, forest, the business downtown?
I mean, I would agree with the dynamic of having a more active downtown and then a quiet, quaint, peaceful, safe, rural area. Like,
Outskirts.
yeah, I mean, the 90% of the rest of the town, you know?
So, like on number 9, where it says, "The town is guided by thoughtful economic development strategies that embrace a healthy balance of employment opportunities, a competitive local business and industry sector, and a strong, fair tax base." And I've added in kind of what Meg was saying earlier, all while preserving its serene and quiet residential character.
Yeah.
I like that.
I like the use of the word serene.
And I like the use of the word character.
What'd you say after serene and?
Rural character.
and
Serene
Quiet
rural
residential
quiet.
character.
Someone said rural, is that a better word?
Rural instead of residential. I was just trying to get it. Where people reside.
Linda, what percentage, keep forgetting, of land is the state forest? Is it like 27% or something?
Pretty high, yeah.
It's like close to a third,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not
So-
quite 33, it's like 28, 28.
Okay.
But that's a lot of
But,
acreage.
and it's getting more all the time.
So there's that, and hopefully there's no development there. How much conservation land is there now?
Oh, probably 200, 250,
Maybe 250 acres?
probably
Okay.
closer to 2. We haven't had any in a long time donated. Oh, we did get the acreage from the Douglas Sutton Development Corp.,
And are there deed restrictions on the open space that it cannot be developed?
not motorized. It's all, it's restricted according to what the state restrictions are.
Okay.
Because we do reference Mass General Law, blah, 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 whatever it is, when we get a deed.
Has there ever been a situation where the state flipped on the state forest and decided they were going to develop parts of a state forest?
No.
We wouldn't have to worry about
One year, we
that.
tried to get a soccer field down there on Wallem Lake Road, and,
Okay.
They
my
won't.
God, that
So-
was,
Yeah, so what I'm saying is we got at least a third of the town that's not going to be developed. That's forest land, trails,
We almost need to make
recreation.
a trade of frontage on 16 towards Webster for other land in town that we just don't use. That we could go to state
That's not gonna
forest.
What do you want to do with that frontage? By
Well,
opening up buildings?
Set to the section up there, right?
Yes,
it would-
We still have it.
it's,
It's still there.
lack of a better term,
No, I'm
it's
just saying,
an overlay
it's almost
district.
like that's what we need to,
Yeah.
you know, because we're, like you say, we're bound up with, state forest is awesome, absolutely awesome, but we really don't, as a town, don't benefit
No.
from it.
Not monetarily.
Not financially, that's for
Right.
sure.
not financially. People that live in town benefit.
Right.
But is
They
that
walk-
the price we pay
Walk
Ross
all
to
the
have
time.
that rule?
I know, but
Yeah.
the tracks,
But the municipal center and the taxes don't benefit.
that's what I'm
That's
getting
the,
at. We
yeah.
as a town, not a person, as a town, don't
And then
benefit from it.
basically, Wallem Lake cost us.
Bingo.
Not, well, you know, the police or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's pretty
It's
expensive.
tax dollars.
Yeah.
But it creates
And
the
then
environment of
locals
being
don't
quaint,
get in there
rural,
It
and
does.
safe, and
No,
all
it does.
that.
Correct.
You know, that's, I think that's why most of us are here.
So it's kind of it's a toss-up.
But there are I mean, the commercial zoning in town, there are plenty of other commercial areas that you can still develop into while conserving more land. And I think that there's opportunities to reform the zoning that exists there to make it more dense so that you can fit in more businesses and more uses and sort of greater density in those areas while still conserving more land. I don't think you really need to eat into a lot of natural lands in town at this point.
Yeah, well, if I look 20 years into the future, the whole Mumford River here, I know in some conservation areas, you can like remediate certain areas, you can trade off certain areas, and give up
Replicate.
some others.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
5,000 feet, which is not much.
right. So, I mean, I think with this parking idea and the bridge and the walk, like this whole side of the river here, I mean, it seems to constrict the downtown if it can't be used at all.
Right.
So I think it should be approached, we should try to do something long-term to bring this into, some area that's more productive and useful.
Take that Webster plan and put it on steroids.
Maybe
Yeah,
what we
so
should do.
Down there at Soldiers Field, there, I've been down there several times in that parking area, that's all town land.
Right, and then the
Right?
river is all town land too, we just looked at it.
So it's almost like that would be a
Perfect place.
great opportunity.
Well, to park down at Soldiers Field and to walk up to Gregory's, I mean, no one's going to do that.
No, not in the winter.
No, that's for sure.
When the weather's better, Ogunquit is like that. You walk a great distance to go to that downtown area where there's very little parking on the street, and all of the parking lots are in the back.
Where is
Way in
that?
the back. Ogunquit, in Maine.
Marginal way, yeah, it's beautiful.
Parking in the back makes the most sense, for sure. If you're driving home to pick up a pizza on the way home or something like that, I mean, you don't want to walk much, But if you're behind the building instead of in front of the building, that's great.
Maybe we need to invite Conservation Commission to come to one of our meetings,
Yeah.
and kind of fill them out.
By who?
Conservation Commission, let's invite them to one of our meetings and feel them out.
We are
I don't
inviting.
think we're ready for that yet.
Not even close.
Well,
You got to have an agenda for them, tell them what you're talking about.
And have even a conceptual plan or
Yeah.
something, just to get feedback from them.
Yep.
I don't think we're quite there yet.
Yeah, behind the hot
The
wall.
Open Space and Recreation Committee too, I feel like they would, if we're thinking about like actually pursuing like some funding to get like a study done for the Riverwalk,
Right here, this-
involving them in the
kind of
process.
But it can be, but we got 2-point-something acres right over in here. That's our property.
And it's not just the Conservation Commission, it's the DEP.
yeah, right. We got
Would
that.
have to say yay or nay. Because you can't just, there's so much percentage of a riverfront area you can use.
Just gotta find out what they like to eat.
And that's not a very big strip either.
No, it's not.
Are you talking the walkway or the place down there at Soldiers Field?
Both.
Both, there's not a big, not a big area, you're saying, available?
Well, just from Cook Street to the whole area of Soldiers Field, that length is very small, and if you're doing anything, you've got to consider that in your percentage of riverfront area.
Then it's pretty
As a whole.
steep too.
Yes, and you would never be able to build a parking lot there. You'd have to fill it in, and I can guarantee DEP's going to say no.
But you
Even
could
if
have the park-
Conservation says yes.
But you could have the parking at Soldiers Field, correct?
I guess.
I think,
If
go ahead.
they allow it. They could be
Yeah,
having
yes.
a game, and nobody can park, that then wants to use the Riverwalk, I've seen that in the summer, packed every weekend, when the games are going on.
Where Jerry was talking about parking was right at where the old blacksmith shop used to be.
Correct.
That's
Yeah.
where he was talking.
That's the only place you
level
could
in that
it.
area, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'd give you parking for maybe 4 or 5 cars, and how many people are going to go to the Riverwalk? It's not going to be like loads of people are going to be there at the same time.
No, you got to go to the
And
DEP.
not a lot of people are going to be using it in the winter either.
True. Just like the SNET. You
Yeah.
hardly see anybody.
That's true, yeah.
And being a walk, we were talking about trying to look at parking on the other side of Main Street, up behind where the elementary school is. There, we
Yeah.
still own some land there. People would walk from there down to the river or patronize the businesses or what have you. But we'll look at all those resources, parking on both sides, where it's applicable and appropriate.
And the area behind Gregory's, that can go all the way up to the railroad. I think the town owns a lot of that.
I'm looking right now.
And
Well,
trail ride.
it used to be contiguous from the street, with the
Correct.
post office all the way up to the school. I don't know if that land transfer has gone through that yet. Ross has been sold.
That I don't know.
Right there.
But there were other, even if that is sold, there are other parcels that are available there.
And GBI had given, or maybe sold a lot of land behind there
Yeah.
for the schools.
But it's quite a ways up.
That could be used for the schools. And there are trails and all that already behind there.
This is where,
And that goes all the way to the old railroad.
so, the school court is where we own.
Well, that's a problem for another meeting, though, isn't it?
Yeah, the
Sorry.
circle back, visioning, Emily?
Okay.
We should give you a whistle or something.
Could you note some of what we were talking about down, because I can't hear super well, and this isn't my chapter, that I'm going to want some of this information for, so.
Yeah, this should be recorded too, so we can go back and do this.
Yeah, if you watch it on YouTube, you can do closed captions. That's how I do my minutes, because I cannot hear it.
Okay. Okay, cool.
AI will give you a good summary at the end.
What was that?
Describes everything, gives you a nice summary, action items.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Okay, so I had started, pulling this together. So Douglas is an inviting town with peaceful and affordable neighborhoods. I know the word affordable, we were
I don't
going
think
back.
affordable yet.
Okay, we don't like,
We don't have that
We
yet.
don't have them.
okay.
This is our vision.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This-
that's
Well, okay, so the
fine.
first paragraph, we decided this is what it is now.
If we're following what Mendon did, which we all said we kind of like, Mendon's first statement is what they are now.
Yes. So does this does this first sentence kind of capture what the town is now? This is me just jotting down notes. So inviting town with peaceful neighborhoods. We could take out affordable neighborhoods and put that somewhere else, maybe.
Or not, but yeah.
Yeah, either way.
I mean, read what Mendon has.
We could also use the word quaint,
And last week,
quiet,
Attractive.
rural.
That's us.
I like
Quaint.
attractive.
Quaint, distinct villages, there's more than one.
Oh, distinct villages. Villages. A dynamic downtown.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Certainly dynamic.
Yes, we'll call it that.
Would like it to be.
I don't know if it is
And
yet.
I think of a better word. I use treasured natural resources and outdoor recreational opportunities. It's probably something better we can use.
I like treasured.
I
Treasured?
mean, that first paragraph.
Value?
That's what we are. That's why people move here.
So I think you need to get rid of the first end.
Do you really think we're agricultural? We don't really have much of a
Okay,
notion.
I'm blind as well. Is there any way we can make that?
That's the term.
Word.
I mean, I
No,
know
that's
RA.
okay.
Rural agriculture.
Oh, great.
I'm sorry, I'm like squinting and I'm like, I just can't see.
No, sorry.
Agricultural. We never
We had a lot
good
of hay
soil. We
fields.
never had good soils.
Great.
Yeah, I still can't read.
Other places.
Ahead of,
Yeah, no,
are planning for a bright future.
I'm still
Small
squinting a
town
little.
That's
How about before
agriculture,
outdoor
character,
recreational and
and rural
abundant
heritage.
outdoor
Ooh.
recreational?
That is a
We do
good
have an
word.
abundance
A
of that.
third of
It's
us
true.
is state forest.
Rural.
Yeah, rural. Get rid of high-performance schools.
Can you take another look at Mendon's again? And, I mean, I'm looking at that and I'm saying, that's us. Except
Yes.
we're not as agricultural as we used to be. We've got a lot of woods. Rural instead of agricultural, maybe?
Yeah, I liked in Mendon's, they said they take great pride in honoring the past while planning for the future. I was trying to think of a sentence. That's kind of,
You don't want to plagiarize.
I know, I don't want to copy them, but
We can plagiarize our own.
Preserving our
These qualities include our distinct villages, historic structures, and all of which must be.
Our heritage.
heritage. Okay, so we greatly value the town's heritage, historic heritage. This is just my writing. Embrace the adversities, and I couldn't think of a better word for like joys, like things you're excited about for the future, not just the challenges, but also the good stuff.
Opportunities.
Opportunities.
I really don't want to embrace the adversities.
You know they're coming though. We got to be ready for them.
Prepare for adversity.
Not
How
necessarily.
about challenges instead of adversity?
Yeah.
Sure.
And opportunities of tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yes.
And so greatly value the town's heritage. What about preserving the town's heritage or something like that? Like the intent to preserve the heritage, because you can value something, it doesn't, I don't think it
there's no teeth.
holds as strong.
We strive to preserve the town's heritage while embracing both the challenges and opportunities of tomorrow.
Sounds good.
So good.
You like work at a library or something?
Do you work at the library?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I'm the archivist.
The archivist. Oh, okay.
What do you think? Do we have a paragraph yet?
2 sentences is a paragraph, right? Okay, well, that's good for now. We can come back to that. What about what we want in the future? Just trying to get as much done before we get distracted. So I had the sentence number 3 where we talked about safe neighborhoods and diverse housing.
That's a good.
Good.
Number 3, yeah.
Okay, the town.
Well, I want to, I mean, is there a contradiction if we're going to talk about the housing things? And if any of these popcorn words over here, like if we want Douglas to be well-funded, well-run, you know, maintained and upkeep, things like that, you know, they might come up against each other at some point. I wouldn't know how to achieve all of it.
More taxes.
Yeah, well, higher taxes or lower
No,
taxes?
more business.
More business.
Yeah, the right kind of taxes.
You know, the thing with downtown, you know, we talk about, but actually, there's not an empty store downtown. You go into a lot of these other, you know, you go to Southbridge, you go to Webster, and you go to any of those, they got all kind of downtown that's empty storefronts. We don't have an empty storefront.
What about at the,
The bike shop.
There's something going on there, isn't there?
no, the bike shop, he's open.
Yeah, he's
Is
still
open?
Yeah. So,
The only, is one of the, a couple of the, are any of the things in the grill open? Are any of those,
as far as I know,
There was
they're full.
offices in there.
Yeah.
that might be,
I
they
think
might
the
have
hair
some, they might have some
style
leasing.
And a
Maybe
real
upstairs.
estate on top.
Yeah.
But that might be the only place that I can think of
Yeah.
off the top of my head that has
No,
open rental.
everything is pretty full. So
Yeah.
we don't have the empty, like, even Whitensville, they have empty, you know, then they get somebody in, they don't stay long, they're
Right.
gone. They have,
But there's a lot more of those storefronts.
there's more of those stores,
We
but then
have
Whitensville's a
finite,
much
limited
bigger
amount.
town,
They're
too.
100% occupied.
Yeah.
So are we saying the second floor above Greg's is
Yeah.
being used?
No, no.
That would be,
That would be an opportunity for
Big
residential
time.
Right.
housing. 'Cause that's how it used to be.
Dr. Hoy
The first floor would be the
Yeah,
business,
but they
the
need
second floor would be
elevators.
residential.
That's the
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
The problem is they need elevators, and they're so expensive. So they,
Even for one story?
Yeah.
You know that?
It has to be.
You have to have elevators?
Handicap accessible
ADA.
yeah,
What about,
for business.
for
what about
business.
like what, where Dr. Hoy's office is, they have that type of elevator? Are
Yeah, they do, it's a small one.
Yeah,
Are those, are even those like crazy? to put
Oh, I have
in?
no idea.
But you also have to have the space, and I don't know that that building has the space to put that in.
well,
And that's
the
just a
thing.
tiny building where Hoy's was,
Yeah.
Is.
But I mean.
Back to the sentence.
Yeah, where are we with that?
By the time you get up.
Sorry.
Is this the second, are we on the second paragraph?
Okay, I think we're on the second paragraph. So I put the town aims
2049, we gotta hurry.
Yeah, no kidding.
The town aims to maintain safe neighborhoods with a healthy supply of diverse housing types for residents of all ages, abilities, and financial means. Feel good about that. I took out some of words that were used in the first paragraph. Then maybe we get into the
I would go maybe number 6 next.
okay. Yes. Residents and visitors are safely connected by well-maintained roads, sidewalks, and trails.
That's our vision.
That's our
Yes,
vision.
that's the future.
Yeah.
That's the dream.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's not today.
No.
As we tried to just try to make the sidewalk from basically where GBI has the models across and coming
From
down.
Franklin to-
From
yeah.
Franklin, and the price just floored us.
Oh, yeah.
There was no
Just the
way we could
sidewalk.
afford it, couldn't even begin.
Well, it wasn't the price of the sidewalk.
It was the drainage.
underground
That's right.
stormwater management.
Yep.
Or the lack thereof.
Right,
Safe
to put it
twice,
in.
though.
Yeah.
That
That's another word for safe.
cave they call a drainage.
Maybe instead of
thing.
secure. I just use safe to describe the neighborhoods, but I also use safe to describe the roads, so,
I feel like safe's better for roads.
yes. What's another way to describe the neighborhoods? Did we already say quaint?
Yes.
Quiet.
Or did we, oh, we said quaint neighborhood.
Friendly.
Oh, no, now we've said
Not the
neighborhoods
word
twice.
for friendly.
Comfortable?
Comfortable.
Family friendly.
Social.
Social.
I would like to see zoning that encourage neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And not just our town, it doesn't encourage neighborhoods. When you've got like 200 feet of frontage, then the next one, you never get houses that are close together. There's no interaction. People live next to each other for 5 or 6 years and never even know who they are. So it's not that, like when I was a kid, the houses were close together and, you just were friends with everybody.
Like the village in
We also
Whitensville.
just don't
Yeah,
like people
right.
nowadays.
I bought my house specifically because I would not be close to my neighbor. I lived in Lincoln, Rhode Island, and I was tired of having my neighbors literally being 10 feet from my back door, so to speak.
Yeah.
That's why I moved to Douglas, was to have that space from my neighbors.
You know what, I think you need to have different areas where you.
Oh,
can
absolutely.
have People who want to be far out like you,
Yep.
and people who like to
Absolutely.
have neighbors.
Want to live downtown.
Isn't that where
Yeah.
40B's at?
People want, like you say, want to be in the
Not
neighborhood.
necessarily.
Or like
Yeah.
Eagleville?
Well, I think that the diverse housing types hits on that. We can have a little bit of everything. And that's really healthy, what you want in a community, different
Right.
options.
But
You don't
until
want
you
just
change
all
your
one
zoning,
thing.
it's not going to happen.
Well, there
But
is
of course,
there is zoning.
you got to look at the survey. Is this what the town wants, or is this what the Justice Committee wants? Right?
The town had like mixed opinions on this, I think, for the
Yeah.
most
The
part.
town has
It was-
opinions on everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they want close neighbors? I don't think so. I didn't read that, I don't know.
Most don't.
Well, overall, I feel like people want quiet and comfort too, even if your neighbor's right next to you, respectful neighbors. Like,
Could you read back what you have for them?
yeah.
Segment?
Okay, so the town aims to maintain social neighborhoods, comfortable neighborhoods, safe neighborhoods, with a healthy supply of diverse housing types for residents of all ages, abilities, and financial means. And visitors are safely connected by well-maintained roads, sidewalks, and trails.
Sure, print that up for the next meeting.
What about your family-friendly neighborhood?
Family friendly.
You had used that earlier. Family-friendly, family-oriented, family-centered.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting? In real estate, we can't use words like that at all.
What?
Trigger word?
Oh, you can't use family, no, because now you might be discriminating against
exclusive.
somebody who doesn't have kids. Oh, you got to be so careful with your ads.
Okay, do
You
we,
can't even hint at it.
do we,
Master plan, we can.
No rules.
Good answer.
So both family friendly and family hostile. We have it
Yeah,
all.
like those people
We have it all.
families are just not, they don't want to be friendly to families. That's the implication there.
Come on, wouldn't you read that vision statement?
I mean, on that note, I mean, I'm thinking, what if we changed, diverse to various, I would think would be more inclusive.
another word you've got on the other ones is balanced. I don't know if we could throw that in there somewhere.
Would you say balance?
Balanced.
Balanced housing, yeah.
Yeah, we could, instead of healthy supply, we could say a balanced supply.
Yeah, I don't like the
Sure.
word healthy.
Yeah, what's balanced supply? Or we could just say a balance of.
Supply of,
That sounds,
you can just take out diverse and just a balanced supply of housing for residents of all ages.
yeah, I think that sounds good.
Less is more.
Balanced.
Okay, so balanced supply.
Balanced.
Yeah.
mix of
Of-
You still
Housing,
got
and just get
family.
rid of diverse altogether.
I agree with Carol,
Yeah.
you should not mention family, because what
Yeah.
about if you get a single homeowner?
Yeah.
That's not a family.
No,
Okay,
Yeah, but it's just family friendly.
I think just leave the word family out, because I think of a family as parents
Just
and
friendly
kids.
neighborhood.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, friendly is good, it's on there, yeah.
I like that.
You don't like the family friendly?
Less is more.
It's diverse, maybe.
I mean, I wouldn't want to live next to
Or what about like a friendly small town atmosphere?
Everybody had one of those.
Neighborhoods.
Because we haven't used small town.
Yeah, and that came up
once.
the most out of anything.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Do you want that? Do you want to move
The
it to
town aims to maintain
That's what
a
they're after.
friendly, small-town atmosphere with a balanced supply of housing types for residents of all ages, abilities, and financial.
What if you lose the word types, just to simplify it?
Yeah, that read funny out loud.
Sure.
Yeah.
Residents and visitors are safely connected by well-maintained roads, sidewalks, and trails.
Can we say that? Is that our
We hope,
vision?
really.
It's our vision.
That's not what we are, that's what we want to be.
Will be
Okay.
So, because it says the town aims to,
Right.
safely connected, well.
Connect to-
so,
It will be,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, we can take out financial means, because
I know.
inability
But
is a
it's a
financial
vision.
mean. Or financial mean is an ability, right?
It's true. I was thinking
Think
more
what we
physical
had back in the
abilities, so making
70s.
sure there's like
Yes.
senior-friendly, handicap-friendly housing, but, yeah, any thoughts on that
Yeah, I
one?
think-
And I would move to not strike family from the vision statement. I think,
Then
we
that's-
should-
What if, well, so there was a sentence that I
Could we
had.
put it someplace else, maybe?
yeah, it can go
I had
somewhere.
on number
anywhere.
8, we had the town's a great place to raise a family, and then we talk about the schools.
Yeah, maybe.
But then you're excluding it's, is a great place for seniors to live.
Yeah.
You're going to include them too. Or single family, people who don't want kids.
Yeah,
Everything for everybody.
What's, I mean, if you don't want, I
Right.
mean, it's okay if you
you
don't.
can't be all things to all
That's
people.
fine.
To
Right.
exclude other, in favor of
Well,
family is
that's
what
why I
I'm
say
saying.
a
Yeah.
balanced mix.
You can't.
Yeah,
You can't please everybody. I mean, and if you try to do that, you're going to fail. You're not going to please anybody.
But if
you
you
try to
just
please
say-
everybody.
Yeah,
family,
I'm
then
not
that's
worrying
all
about
we
hurting
want.
people's feelings necessarily. But if, for those people that may not want to have children, what are you going to do about the school? Because they don't have kids, why would they care? We're not going to talk about
I'm
schools
talking
now.
about living next to,
Well,
that's
no.
why they moved to an area.
But he's not
They
saying.
check
put
it
the
out
fa-
first.
He's not saying put the family there, he's saying in a different part of the vision.
Oh, so not in the vision statement.
No, in the vision statement, but in
Oh.
a different part than what we were just talking about.
We can support families and senior citizens.
We'll add the
Same.
seniors,
Okay.
yeah.
This doesn't have to
Doesn't
be
have
the
to be all
definitive
about
one
family,
tonight.
yeah.
What I'd like to do is we'll do what we can.
Yeah.
Interesting to note, when I only saw visioning, I said, this is going to take no time. What are we going to do?
How much time will we spend on the first word?
So what I'd like to do is whatever we end up with,
Family in here.
I'll send it to
This
everybody.
is the
Yeah.
vision statement.
Really look
You know,
at it
It says Mendon
read it.
residents,
Right.
residents,
And we'll come back ready to rumble
business owners,
at the next one.
leaders to work.
Yeah, I should also say, this is
Right,
something that I would love
community.
for, like, you all, if you serve on a
think
different
it's
board
great.
too, if you could bring that to your board, like planning board, board of selectmen, conservation, maybe, I don't know if that's opening a can of worms, but I just want to also, just in general, make sure like that the boards are generally being updated with how this process is going as well. I don't want to like get to the end and then the boards are like, oh, we have a master plan. I didn't get a chance to say my input or anything.
Somebody's laptop and jacket.
Yeah, that's mine.
Okay,
Are you meeting in there?
yes, we are.
Rabble rouser.
No, I think it's a good idea, Emily. The more input, the better.
Do you think so? Yeah.
The Mendon one,
Get there.
the Mendon one says, we seek to encourage Mendon residents, instead of having family, or residents, right? Just say residents, business owners, and leaders to work together to develop a community and culture that is rooted in respect and involvement. Not just cover one type of
That's
people.
from the Mendon one?
Yes, I mean, word for word, this is Douglas, I think what was in the survey, what the survey wanted,
Yeah, pretty close. It was-
except we're not an agricultural community anymore. We're more woodsy,
Never really were. We could, unless you were rolling rocks.
timber people, lumber.
Timber and then the factories.
Yeah.
That is it.
Yeah, we were manufacturing.
In the second paragraph of the vision statement, I wonder if there's a way that we could fit number 5 somehow in there.
Efficiency.
Oh, yeah,
I really.
did you like that one?
I like that one, and I think it holds importance.
Do you want me to read that out loud? Civic transparency and efficiency are at the heart of the town, encouraging active local voices, responsible fiscal management, and exceptional provision of public services and infrastructure.
And in Mendon, it says, with this in mind, after what I just read a little while ago, we hope to create a sense of community that encourages residents to participate.
Yeah.
It's all in Mendon's.
We can't just copy them.
And that's just, what she just read was a different way of saying it.
Yeah. They'll never know.
Scribble out Mendon.
Don't talk to anyone in Mendon.
And it goes on to talk about life for current and future residents. So, quality of life.
I think making sure that like civic transparency is in there, I think it's an important aspect, especially in the vision statement.
What does that mean, civic transparency?
That we let people know what's going on,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
instead of all these hush-hush secret master
That's also
plan
what came
meetings.
up at the youth engagement as
You're on
well, so.
TV.
yeah.
That's what they say, but nobody ever knows, because who watches it?
Civic transparency and engagement.
I think our,
That's what Mendon says, that encourages residents to participate.
We'd like to see greater participation in civic governments, town meetings, voting. The numbers are very low in town.
Oh, yeah.
And that's one of the things that even the students talked about in the survey was that civic engagement.
Yep. Yeah, transparency.
so like I said, I just think that's definitely, how we fit it in, I'm not sure, but I think it needs to definitely be in there.
I'm sure Emily can squeeze it in there somewhere.
Sure.
Or paraphrase
I
it.
mean, we can include all of these in. I don't think this
Yeah.
is too long.
No, we don't want all of them in. That would be too long, wouldn't it?
Well, I mean, after,
If it's important, then.
after 2 pages, single space.
Yeah. Yeah. single-
Yeah.
I made this like size 14 font, so.
Portrait, not even
smaller font.
landscapes, you know.
We're good.
We're doing good.
Cool. Anything else that stood out? See, number 7, I wasn't sure here. I included agricultural lands, but I don't think that's
We have none.
really reflected, so I
Really?
think we should take that
No.
out. I also put scenic views. Is that something that we're proud of here and want
Or
to
you can
preserve?
drive by the res. That's a scenic view, but you can't use it.
Can't see
You
much
can't
when you
park.
drive through the forest because there's trees, you know.
Take it,
You can see the sunset from the dam.
take your life.
That's only driving by. You can't park.
Yeah, take your life in your hands on the causeway.
We have scenic views. I mean, we have a beautiful common.
Excitement.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, so are there large landowners that, like even like small, somewhat smaller, but like mid-sized landowners that like have like a big yard, like basically, that you think, you know, if there was some possibility to arrange this, could like lease out some of their land to agriculture?
Oh, they got the apple orchard
Yeah.
uptown.
Yeah.
They lease it out. They have events there.
Yep.
They're doing as much activity as they could.
Yeah.
at their
Right.
location.
Yeah, I go
Yeah.
to some of the concerts during the summer in their, in the orchard there.
Yep.
I don't have to go. I can hear them from the house.
You can hear them too? Yeah, me too. I know.
Because I just don't know if it's like, if we want to completely exclude like agriculture.
Matt was talking about a community garden somewhere. Where was that?
Where the old mobile pipeline is on the way to Route 16
Oh,
on,
okay.
yeah, on the right-hand side.
Oh, up on the
in
old
back.
mobile
Yeah,
pipeline.
it was very small,
What
about
was it?
double the size of this table.
Oh, okay.
It was very small, and I think the Open Space Committee had asked the senior center if they were interested in, and there was no interest in a community garden at all.
That was up by the dump, wasn't it?
Justin's expressed interest in the
Closer to
library
the dump.
before.
Where the pipeline is, the Saucony, yeah,
There used to be one at the
that
library.
house there, that little,
Once upon a time, the container garden.
Yeah, I mean, we could say just gardens and agriculture.
but it was never mentioned in the survey, right?
That's
Is that
true.
what the people want?
Yeah.
Or is that just?
Not really.
Yeah.
No.
People like the rural vibe, and like I know, like I'm sure when they're driving through other towns, like I mean, agriculture is pretty like popular in general, I think.
But, you know,
But it's just like I think like maybe it doesn't come up in the survey because like they don't think of Douglas as having agricultural lands, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they would be
I think
opposed
a lot
to
of
it.
hayfields up by our area.
yeah, but you know what, if you think about, like, everybody has a big enough lot in Douglas, or most of them, with the 2-acre lots, that they want to have a garden in their own yard, they bring in a load of loom and they can grow their own crops, you know? It's not like like you got your neighbor 10 feet from you.
And then during the summer
There's
months.
places with like micro farms that you could just have like 1 acre just very actively produced.
Yeah,
We got the farmer's market at the Jenks.
Yeah.
with it.
Well, that's like in Uxbridge, they have a community garden,
Right.
but that's more for people who live in condos.
right.
That they've downsized and they still want to
Right.
dig in the dirt.
Other things, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a goat farm on Main Chalk Road.
I mean, every town has some agriculture. you know.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Right. that's kind of
The amount of
what-
woods and conservation we have, if we made agriculture a focus, yeah, not what's left, at that point.
Doesn't Douglas have the most land area, state?
Committed to state.
Yeah.
The state forest.
State forest,
I
right?
think so,
In the
yeah.
state? So
Could be.
Isn't that a distinctive quality of,
But it's not agriculture.
no, but it's,
For the town.
Space.
Recreational and open
To
space.
draw people,
yeah,
so why don't we
Distinctive
Wow.
forested lands.
include that, the
State-
access to the state forest.
A third of the town is open space available to the public,
There you go.
you know?
Yeah, yeah.
It's not privately owned.
hiking,
Said-
For recreational purposes.
Right.
cross-country.
Wait, wasn't that said earlier, though, in the very beginning?
As a vision statement?
Yeah, that was in the first paragraph.
During COVID, they were parked on both sides of Route
Abundant
16
outdoor
going up to
recreation.
Webster.
That's all they were doing.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of,
And during hunting season.
Well,
Not
not
as
as much
much
as it used to be, though.
I mean, it's kind of
Yeah, that's-
covered, so.
Hunting used to be big,
Really
it's not so big anymore.
Emily, there's a couple of things in number 10. Historic preservation.
To my house, I got 6
Oh,
deer.
there's 10 of them.
Would like to plug that in there, sort of the yes tomorrow thing. We appreciate our historic properties. And
I think we did that with
It's
the
there.
did we cover
Eat
it?
'em all.
Said we strive to preserve the
This
town's
is in-
heritage.
heritage, yeah,
Do we want to build upon that?
preserving
Or?
heritage.
Well, heritage is more of a people thing. Historic preservation is more, I think, bricks
Yeah,
and mortar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do we have that's historic that we want to preserve?
Everything.
Store.
The Jenks store.
Us,
I know. Well, you've got the historic, you've got the,
Jenk.
you've got the old part of Douglas, which is.
Oh, that definitely, that's the
Common.
best.
That's historic. It's actually
Yeah.
on the National Historic Register. The Historic Commission's working on doing the downtown district. Hayward Landing's a historic, on the historic register. Jenks is on the historic
Yep.
register. You've got the library, this building, the
both
town hall.
both congregational churches are almost 200 years old. They're
Yeah,
beautiful.
1834 on both of them.
Okay.
What about the fire station on Cottage Street?
That is something that actually keeps coming up, both the BFCC, it talks about it quite a bit, that's on theirs.
Should we keep it or tear it down, was the question.
They keep coming up. Then you've got obviously the old grammar school, the center school. I mean, there's quite a few buildings. The Historic Commission and the Recreation Commission are working to do something for Soldiers Field, showing the history of baseball in town. So there is a lot in town for historic
Preservation.
preservation.
Yeah.
Did you know that the Red Sox and the Yankees play baseball in Douglas?
Do you know that there are
Williams and Joe DiMaggio?
Yeah.
Do you know that there are 10 players in the Hall of Fame that played for Douglas in the Blackstone
And
Valley
the
Mill
Blackstone
League.
Mill Leagues, yeah.
What?
And 58 players are made it to the major leagues, including Henry Coppola, who's a local boy.
Good.
Must be something in the water.
So there's a lot of, Douglas has a very
There's nothing
rich
else to
baseball
do.
history that's not known about.
Yeah, that's true. It does have a lot of history on baseball.
We can pick and choose what
Show
buildings we
me
want to
sure.
conserve and
Took it off.
preserve.
I did.
You know, some of these next to the Citgo station, like, we should just tear those
Same
down and
out.
rebuild something a little more attractive, build the parking lot out in the back a little bit.
Where's that
About
sentence?
moving the
on
state-
Yeah, so I just added in.
That needs to be
Okay, so-
expanded, it's a little rough getting in and out of there.
Historic
But it's cheaper there than
yeah.
the Shell, so I go there.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
No,
kind of
put that
covers
on the
it.
lowest.
I like that.
Okay, cool. Okay, so we covered that. The other things I kind of put in that we didn't touch on, like, oh, okay, no, we got recreation, maybe events, because that did come up a lot in the, like, community events has been brought up a number of times in the survey. And
Is that number 4?
it's actually number 10. These were just things that I, kind of a hodgepodge of things that we might have missed.
Oktoberfest is very
Well,
popular.
and also number 4, the attractive, charming downtown will be a cultural center hub of community featuring showcasing range of, it could also kind of fall into 4 and
Yeah.
10 together.
But the old Common's getting to be quite a hub, too. They're going to have a
With the-
Hummingbird Festival.
The Common Preservation Society
Yeah.
is doing amazing stuff up there.
It's beautiful.
They actually got somebody to dress up as a hummingbird.
Oh, really?
That's what I heard. They're actually.
How fast do they have to move their arms?
They got somebody to dress up as a hummingbird.
That sounds
that
cool.
coming?
Bird that can fly.
May
May 3rd.
May
May
3rd.
3rd?
So with paragraph 4,
Second.
sorry, we're talking future tense there?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, I like it too.
Will be the cultural center.
Did not we discuss pedestrian-friendly environment, number 4, as non-existent?
You see, currently,
Is that going to change in the future?
this is our vision.
Okay.
This is our vision, but we're going to need your help, by the way.
We're going to become pedestrian friendly.
Yeah, we aspire.
Yeah, because when you go back to this first page of what people actually said on the survey, and, you know, not just what we think, but what was actually said on the survey, better roads, sidewalks, parking, bike paths, river walk, you know, preservation of forests, wetlands, and natural resources. You know, these are all the things that
People want.
that the people themselves are thinking of for the 20 years. So when we're talking about it, we shouldn't lose focus of what
This is all
what
about.
was encompassed on this first page.
Two statements stick out: strong sense of community and balance of generations.
Correct,
That
yeah.
Balance of generations, that covers the family, seniors. We need to fit that somehow into the vision statement if we can.
The one thing that kept coming up repeatedly was, you know, the state of the roads in
Yeah.
Douglas. So, did I hear you correctly saying that at one time, at some time, you're going to have the transportation people come before this committee?
Yeah, we'll have, from our staff, the people who are writing that chapter, we'll have them who come and present, and we'll have a discussion on that.
Because I'd love to know that the volume of traffic in the past 20 years.
Oh,
I'm sure the regional planning should have a lot of that information.
We do, yeah.
Because I know on a lot of the rural, the back roads,
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, because of the development, you know, and so no wonder some of these roads are falling apart. They weren't meant for the traffic they're getting now. So I'd love to see what those traffic numbers are.
Well,
Yeah.
we're getting a
In the
lot
past 20
out of
years,
Connecticut
yes.
now, too. Years ago, in the wintertime, you couldn't get down to Connecticut through that road, but now that's all.
Thompson.
Thompson, you can get out of
And
Thompson.
Rhode Island also.
And Rhode Island.
Traffic.
Coming up out of Burrillville.
Yeah.
Right in front of Mike Perry Street in Southeast Maine, huge tractor trailers every day.
White Highway wasn't.
Oh, Southeast Maine is a disaster.
Yeah.
White Highway wasn't paved when I was in high school, going into.
Whole road needs to be
Oh,
widened.
Huh?
Needs to be widened.
Get down there.
But it's also just
Yeah.
the potholes, and especially once you cross over into Uxbridge, right at the end there by the stop
I'll pull
sign.
those out.
Yeah.
Oh, my God,
Yeah.
it's disaster, that road.
a big impact on,
It's all frost heaves, that's why. It keeps breaking
Yeah.
up.
But even
I think that's planned for the meeting in June, so, one of the meetings in June,
Home
so
Depot Market Basket.
make sure you're at that.
Oh, yeah.
Traffic going into.
So if we could just, we'll bring it back. How are we looking there?
We're looking great. How are we doing also on time? I know you wanted to talk about housing stuff.
It's
so-
okay, we could play
We
it.
did touch on housing, so.
We got
Yeah,
15
we did.
minutes.
We covered that topic.
Yeah,
Next at a time.
Okay. So you had flagged strong sense of community and balance of generations.
Yeah.
Where can we put those in?
I don't know, but like I said, I think the balance of generations is a very good statement.
That's a good statement, yeah. And covers everyone.
Yep.
well, what we're hoping to do is you'll do a draft. Let's put a date on it. This is the date, the last draft as of today. I'd like to get it to everybody so that we can come back and just hit the ground running next time and finish it,
Yeah.
you know? This doesn't have to be the definitive vision statement today.
No, yeah, we can dedicate the next meeting, the May meeting, to this as well. Do you want to keep going till 7, or?
Oh, we got
What
to
is-
stuff
Feeling
on the
exhausted?
agenda. We got to talk about the, what's next on the agenda here? You know that
The
I've
quarterly
lost-
reporting?
Yes, that's important. Has that been done? It's due what, to
Yes.
Well, let's,
yesterday?
we can talk, we can talk about that.
Date on it.
Let's finish this, okay?
Oh,
If you don't mind. Are we,
I'm sorry.
I think we can call this good.
Well, do we want to slide in this balance of generations? Let's put that in a sentence and put it somewhere in there so we have a rough draft.
Use these
Otherwise, we're
words
gonna-
in a sentence.
Yeah, otherwise
Remember
we'll
that
have a
from,
dozen different
from
ideas.
middle school, you know?
Back to the kids.
I think
are you prepared to
stealing
give an
from
update for that?
Mendon a little
You
bit,
comfortable?
we will prioritize the balance of, like, somehow we will prioritize the balance of keeping the balance of generation. Do you know?
Yeah,
I-
like quality of life for all generations or something.
So, yeah, somehow in that, and then kind of also finishing up, basically plagiarizing Mendon's from that point forward.
I won't tell them.
Yeah, someone did a good job on Mendon's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
might have been Peter
I
Coffin.
see.
He's
Okay.
in Mendon.
Yeah.
Can I ask a weird question? Have you considered, like, ChatGPT to draft some of this stuff? Only because I've begun using it in a professional setting, and it's amazing, the iterations that you can come back with. You ask it something, and it's not quite what you want. You add data to it, you can reference other things, you can put the Mendon statement out there and say, I mean, I don't know if we want to go there, but it's out there.
Yeah.
And there are uses for it, and we might be at the spot where we could use it.
You can
Yeah.
have different tones. You can have a polite tone. You can
Yeah.
have a concise tone.
Yeah, family-friendly, or,
Right. Family angry.
Resident friendly. Very much.
I think what he's meaning is bad words.
Oh,
Use it if they choose to, because it's kind of, like, I've seen stuff that, like, you can tell just looking at it, like, this is clearly written by ChatGPT,
Yes.
because it's, like, just phrasing things in weird ways, like, I don't think it's a good idea to, like, have it sort of take the lead on the chapter authoring.
No, it's good. It gives a good framework, though, and it's if we use that as
Yeah.
a base, then we could tweak it
Yeah,
from
right.
there.
Exactly.
Yeah, we couldn't like take what we
Humanize.
create and then let AI
Copy and
like be the
paste.
definitive. No, we should do the
just
opposite.
kind of a side thought.
No, that's a good phrase.
Creative
Yeah.
flow, you just gotta let it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually like those conversations, boss, I really do.
That's not bad. Yeah, we can try. Sam's better at that stuff than I am, so.
So, in the
Oh, what was
context
the
of,
comment?
in the context of developing a couple options or different styles or tones of drafts that you might give back to us.
You might even give that word that you can't
Yeah.
really think.
Right, yeah.
So, like, have a heavy oversight of, like, what it's putting out.
Yeah. The heavy
Sort
human.
of structuring it in a way so that it's not, like,
It's just a
messing up a
draft,
lot.
Yeah.
Whatever.
can just hit
I'll try it.
repeat, and it'll keep rephrasing it, and it'll
Yeah.
a bunch of different stuff. I've uploaded the survey documents and research into AI just to see if what the tendencies were, like aside from the reports and stuff like that, but it's getting crazy out there. You can do all kinds of things with it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
We're going to put these guys out of business.
Could have put a lot of people out of business.
Let's go back to preservation.
There are authors. Okay.
Okay.
So if you want, Emily, what you have there, you can, if you want, you can send that to me and I'll distribute it to the members.
Yes, I will. Perfect. Thank you, everyone, for this input and working with me on this.
What was said about engaging or at least talking to the Conservation Commission? Like, how much time do we want to spend on trying to work anything near the river if it's going to be a hard no 100%? Like, I think we should let them know, hey, this is something we're thinking about for the next 20 years. Like, is it worth a conversation? And hopefully they say, yeah, let's have a conversation about it.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't wanna waste
I'm
any time
new to the
talking
open
about
space chapter, and I can talk to them a lot about it as I'm like interviewing them.
Awesome.
I'd say let's come up with a concept first.
And the conservation people would be the one to go, not just the open space, because they don't issue permits from the DEP. Yeah, it would be
Yeah.
conservation.
But if they're supportive of our ideas and what we'd like to do, conservation and open space.
I don't know. Are they?
Then
I know open
I don't know,
space
that's
is.
what we should find out. Let's find out, and then we can all go to DEP.
Bring them the idea.
But you got to have a
I think
concept.
Margaret is right, though.
You could need
More effort
something
into
to
it.
look at on paper and, just access and where we're talking and what side of the river. I think they're going to want to see something. So, I can do something like that rather.
We're going to pave everything
Desktop.
from
Because you-
North Street
Concept, just a
to...
sketch.
And if you don't,
From here to
You can pull
here.
up a lot of stuff on the
Well,
town's
that's
website.
correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
right, and you can cover a lot of ground, Margaret, because, sorry.
What?
You can cover a lot of ground, because if you have a concept, those are the questions they're going to ask you anyway. So if you have it all laid out for them,
No,
it's a
that's
start.
right. So let me try to come up with some type of a draft that I can bring to
That'd be great.
the board,
And
the committee next time, and then
Yeah.
we can take
And it might be presented to Concom in a way that represents a way to preserve. Like, they're in the conservation business, and if we take care of a resource and get people to access it and use it, I think there's a way to present it.
Right.
If you do
That
it
group.
once and you create this thing, whoever owns, then it couldn't be done, something else couldn't be done to it later on. You're creating a,
If you want it to
Barrier.
happen.
yeah.
It's always
Yeah.
better to show them what you want to do instead of asking them for permission, so
Right.
have a plan, have a plan,
Have a plan.
Is this idea even
feasible. yeah.
feasible? Right.
And don't just show the plan, you got to show how many feet away from the river is this, and you've got to give, lines.
She knows all that.
I know, but I'm just telling, don't just come in with a plan, and to them, it may look like, oh, that's a 1,000-foot wide area. You've got to have reference.
But I know, but I'm
Points
probably
on.
going to have to talk to somebody regarding, where are we talking and which properties are we going through,
Correct.
Talk
And that's us.
conceptually first, before we get into the
Conceptually,
nitty-gritty.
would you guys even consider this?
Right.
If yes, well, we'll get the specifics, then we go from there.
Right.
If they wouldn't even consider it, why spend the time getting the specifics?
That's right.
And I know that once you cross Cook Street, there is that big blue brick house, and there's a path that goes down there, down to like Hayward Landing, so there may be more opportunities going that way.
Hayward Landing owns everything.
Well, that'd probably be
Is there
easier.
somebody that I could communicate with and before the next meeting, so that I can, if I have questions or looking for feedback off of something, so that you could, I don't want to waste my time coming up with a concept if I'm off base,
Why don't you just call me and I'll see if we can get a hold of one of the landowners and see what their thoughts are.
Well, where are we
too.
looking for? Just Jackman's area?
Well, see, those are the questions I need answered.
Yeah.
What areas are
We
we
don't know.
talking? So,
I would say like as a limit to the range, I think like Hayward Landing is like a good one side, and then the other side would be like Soldiers Field.
Civil
I
engineer.
would, that would be like the
From
range.
Hayward to
That'd be the
Sullivan.
max range, yeah.
The trails on the Main Street side, right?
Opposite side.
The other side, okay, from there to Soldiers Field, okay. just-
Jerry
Yeah.
owns all of
Right.
B Street, and then
Yeah.
Hayward Landing owns pretty much all of North Street minus that one little part that's owned by McGreevy.
Okay.
On the other side of the Cook Street Bridge.
Margaret, Bob can also be helpful if you need bits and pieces information as far as land.
Oh, sure, okay.
I mean, Carol and I can sit down with you anytime in that room over there.
Well, then, give me a couple weeks and then
Bring your
we'll
laptop,
plan
with
on
the
that.
drawings.
Yep.
I mean, if
okay.
we're going to be parking on one side, I mean, between Cook and Mechanic on the Main Street side of the river, you know, I think would be the best place for the parking. You know, if the Grill on Main parking lot was like 3 times bigger, you know, and go close to the river, have a little fishing thing going on down
I thought they
there.
were working on that. Didn't they swap some land to make the parking bigger back there?
It's not big enough
It
yet.
would be nice to put a restaurant right on the river.
That's still owned by the Colinaro family, still owns right behind Grill on
Yeah, some
Main.
old
San
tennis court
Antonio.
back there.
Yeah, I know.
All
Yeah.
restaurants
Garages.
on the river.
But, you know, when you think San Antonio's pulling from thousands of people, so, you know, of restaurants, I mean, we can't even get CVS to come, you know, because they're looking for it. So, I don't know, but it would be nice, there's no doubt about that, a nice restaurant
If
overlooking
you
the
build
river.
it, they will come. I'm just marking it down.
All right.
Down with Pocket to get that river's view.
So before we move on, does anyone have any last questions, comments, considerations for Emily regarding the vision statement? Everyone's comfortable in what we're doing? We're going to have a
Yeah.
draft. We're going to take a look at it and revisit it.
Are we going to have a couple of options? Oops, sorry. Are you going to come back with one draft option, or maybe a
I'll
couple
just
of?
send the notes of what we did today, if that's okay. Or do you want me to work on it
You'll
more?
send it to you, right? And
Yes.
Send it out to us?
Yes,
If we want to scribble an idea on it?
yes. That's the idea.
We'll have a dozen options.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should be an interesting meeting.
Round 2.
Oh, we did. Thank you, Emily. Appreciate your patience and help. Next on the agenda is the quarterly reporting. As we had mentioned in previous meetings, we have to report to the state so we can retain our grant, and that's a cooperative effort between us and CMRPC. Matt was working on that. Matt is no longer with the town, so Bob was good enough to step up and try to put the pieces together.
I inherited that, and as Emily can well detest, it's been a work in progress. The last week has just been, consumed so much of my time, it's frustrating.
Did you say Matt's no longer with the town?
Matt Benoit is no longer working for the town. So I inherited this because I've got 19 quarterly reports with MassWorks, another 10 with EDA, so this is my
busy.
wheelhouse. Working with a finance director, she needs so much backup paperwork, which became a problem with CMRPC. I just received the report this morning from Dara Griswold. I haven't had time to submit it. I got an email, nastygram this afternoon, where's your quarterly report? It was due yesterday. And I asked for an extension, they won't give it, so when we convene tonight, that's what I'm working on.
Oh, geez.
But I can't do a quarterly progress report unless I submit, excuse me, the monthly report, the reimbursement request. Because a quarterly report is based on what you submit for payments. And I didn't have an invoice, and that's the ongoing process, as you saw through all the emails. I mean, tons of emails the last 5 days. With that said, that's why I was late for this meeting. I was getting Gene Lovett to accept the monthly expense, and it will be done monthly, but this time it's January, February, March. So the quarterly report, progress report, and the monthly report are basically one and the same. Starting in April, we will be doing a monthly report for April, May, and June. Add those 3, that's your progress report for the quarter. We've got to get this thing off the ground, and it's been a problem getting to this point. So hopefully after tonight, within an hour after we convene, I'll have this all straightened out.
Thank you, Bob, for working on that.
It's-
No, that was a terrible thing to inherit.
Yeah, we dropped that on Bob because we have a big hole there with Matt gone, and he was in the middle of doing this. So we appreciate you helping us out.
Yeah, and I don't think much was done previously. So I took it from scratch, tried to find out, Jen Kuchar and I were digging through files, trying to find out what was done, and not much was done. Because you didn't want to do a duplicate effort either.
Any questions, comments, observations? Okay. Well, thank you again.
So, yeah, it has to be done, somebody has to do it, so.
Well, we'll be paying for the whole thing, right?
We could lose our,
grant?
we could lose our grant funding, yeah,
Oh, yeah,
over $100,000.
115 to be
I'm on
exact.
finance committee, we have no money to pay, so you better hope you get the grant.
You keep telling us that, you got to dig deeper.
Yeah,
Help us out, Carol.
We have the grant, we need to keep it.
right.
You can't have them pull it.
Yeah.
So that's all I have on our agenda. I did put housing in there, but we seem to talk about that every meeting, so I think we're good. I think we're good. Anybody have anything else this
Affordable
evening?
housing?
And family friendly.
With a tunnel.
And dynamic, don't forget dynamic.
That's right, a dynamic tunnel.
Dynamic tunnel, yeah.
Anything else anyone would like to add? Comments, considerations before we adjourn? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion made by Carol, seconded by Ross.
I'll third it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it. Thank you.
Thanks,